Bawani going through thought. What is good, my people? Today we're going to be reacting to uh Blackie Speak, sort of breaking down a Lil Yachty situation. I'm not too caught up on it, so I'm going to my guy Blackie to like sort of put me on and sort of run me through what's going on. And he's one of my plugs when it comes to like pop culture, I would say. Very intelligent man. For the most part, he does present the facts and then give his opinion versus like it being super subjective at the start, where it just allows us to like form our own opinion based on the facts, and then he goes in with his opinion. We can kind of go back and forth with him in the comments and whatnot. But yeah, I'm excited to like delve into this. Yachty seems to be one of those rappers that can't escape the hate. Like I said, I don't think what he says warrants the hate that he gets, because and the hate he gets is just, it's wild, very wild. But before we get into this video, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that noti bell. I appreciate you, my people. You can find my socials in the description. Long as you're over, let's get into this video. Dial it.
Lil Yachty thing. Okay, if you guys don't know, Lil Yachty, he's been like on a, how should I put it? He's been on like on a, you know how artists when they're like on a run, like, oh, he's on a run, he's on this crazy run where he's dropping a lot of good music, or he's on his run where he's doing a lot of features. Well,
I agree.
Lil Yachty, he's on a different kind of run. Okay, Yachty, he's on a run to share some very horrible hip hop opinions. Okay.
No. See, Blackie, I don't agree with you. Yachty is on a run when it comes to making music. Like, he has been dropping some bangers. So I disagree with you there, my guy. He might be on the run to the other stuff. When it comes to him dropping music right now, he's one of the most exciting, like, hip hop artists to drop as of late for this year, in that sort of like double XL group. I think it's 2017 double XL group, if I'm not mistaken. So I disagree with you.
Okay. Horrible hip hop opinions. And as someone who would consider themselves a professional at breaking down some of these conversations, I want to have this conversation with you about Lil Yachty's horrible hip hop opinions, and I want to give my take on it. A little bit about this Lil Yachty topic, right? So if you guys don't know what's going on, Lil Yachty, okay, Lil Boat, he's been on a crazy run to just share some very horrible opinions. And I'll be honest with you, man, I don't know why Lil Yachty's doing this, and I have a lot of things to say about this, but of all the people who can share their takes on hip hop as far as artists and rappers, I just feel like Lil Yachty is like the last person who should be saying these things.
I don't even know what he said, but off the rip, I disagree with him not being able to share his opinion. Like, Yachty's been in the game for quite a while. He's sort of evolved throughout the years, and I would say right now that like this is the best he's ever been. So uh, I disagree. Like, he does have the right to share his opinion on hip hop. He is hip hop. He's, from the auto tune sound to what he's doing right now. Like, you can't tell me Yachty is not dropping bangers. Like, come on, Blackie. Like, what's up? What's going on?
But let's not get ahead of ourselves, and let's talk about it. So,
Agreed.
Lil Yachty, are you familiar with the name? Well,
I am.
Lil Yachty blew up a couple years ago, right, with the song One Night.
I know you want this for life.
He's a part of the 2016 wave, right? And he's actually one of the artists from that 2016 wave who is thriving. Like, I want to say that I want to say that Yachty is definitely thriving. Like, I can't take anything away from the fact that he's doing really well.
Okay.
The fact that I'm still talking about Lil Yachty and the fact that he's relevant in the culture, that goes for something, right? But I just want to get into this conversation. I want to talk about these takes that Lil Yachty has been sharing, and you might know about these takes because Yachty has kind of been going viral, okay? So let's start with this. He did this interview with Rolling Stone about, like, I want to say like 2-3 weeks ago, something like that, right? And he was talking a little bit about hip hop, and he was talking a little bit about the state of hip hop, you know, the place that hip hop is in at this current moment. And Yachty said some things which had the internet in a frenzy.
And I said hip hop is in a terrible place, and it took the internet in a frenzy.
So I want to read these statements for you, and I want to give you my take on it. And I also want to hear what you're going to have to say at the end as well. So let's not waste any time, and let's go over it. So this interview is with Rolling Stone, and this is what Yachty said, right? He said, "The place that hip hop is in right now is a terrible place. It's a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low-quality music being put out. it's a lot less originality. Hey, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'll just say, ain't it ironic that this is coming from Lil Yachty of all people, right? Anyway.
Okay. That is fair. That is 100% fair. But two things can be true at the same time. Like, he can be someone that is following the wave because, like, of course, he wants to make money and get his bag. But it also could be true that music is lacking originality, and like he's a good example of that, like himself. So, I still think he can point out what's wrong with hip hop, and as a means to like potentially change hip hop, because like right now, like he's on a run right now in his game. So like I do think his opinion has weight to sort of shift it. Will it? I don't know, but yeah, good point, but again, I still think that two things can be true at the same time. Yes, he can be riding the waves and lack of originality, and two, he can still call it out, because at the end of the day, like these rappers, they're doing a job. Like that's their job to create and sell art. The same way your job is to create and sell sort of commentary, breakdowns, like rhetoric within the hip hop space. Same way my job. Well, for me, this is just fun. But once I get to the point where it is my job, which hopefully one day soon, it'll be my job to be in like an entertainer. Like I'm entertaining people with my videos, same way you're entertaining people with your videos. So that's the way I see it.
There's more. So, by the way, I forgot to mention that artist rapper Tierra Whack, she was actually in this interview. So it was kind of like a conversation where Yachty was speaking to Tierra Whack, and they were having like this back and forth. And then they, there's like a transcript of this interview that Rolling Stone put together. So Tierra Whack, she said, and by the way, Tierra Whack is a great artist. Shout out to her. She's killing it, man. She deserves way more credit.
Great lyricist.
She's like one of the only female rappers where I'm like, how come she's not up there? But I know why she's not up there, because she's not selling her body. That's it is what it is, right? And no shot at the women who are doing that. It's just,
and also too, like she's not creating music that's like easily digestible and that can be that's being able to be played on repeat. So she is a great lyricist, but being a great lyricist doesn't translate to you creating a great song. But yeah, that's just the way I see why she is where she's at. And also too, I do agree that she is in line with like a young MA. She's not out here selling sex, is the best way to put it. Like sex sells, she's not doing that.
It's a fact. Like sex sells. We all know that. So if you're not on that, you're not going to get as much credit. Just like if you're a young black man making hip hop, rapping, if you ain't talking about killing, murder, and destroying your community with drugs and all this craziness, they not going to push you in the industry. They don't really want you because that doesn't sell. But this is what Tierra Whack said.
Some exceptions, but yes, he is right.
Right. She made a statement. She said, it's very diverse. You can do whatever you want. You can be whoever you want, just freedom. So that's in relation to hip hop. And then Lil Yachty says, this sucks. The place that hip hop is in right now is a terrible place. What are you talking about? So he's kind of pushing back on her statements. And then he said, the state of hip hop right now, it's a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low quality music being put out. It's trendy. It's a lot less risk taken. It's a lot less originality. Tierra Whack says, this is the viral post. I always call it. Like that's going to be the viral post of this. And she was right. We're talking about it right now. But Lil Yachty continued and said, I'm just saying, people are too safe now. I'd rather take the risk and take the L. Tierra Whack said, I love it. So. What happened after this is Yachty got a lot of backlash. Rightfully so. And I'm going to get to why I say that. But Yachty got a lot of backlash. People have been going off on Yachty for like, it feels like forever, okay? Mm-hmm. And I even had a tweet from like 2 days ago. And, I said, is someone going to tell Lil Yachty that he contributed to a lot of the whack shit in hip-hop? Is someone going to tell him that he contributed to a lot of the whack shit in hip-hop? Well, if nobody else will tell you that, Yachty, I will tell you that. You're one of the people who's responsible for everything that you're talking about. 100%. Now, before we get there, let's actually talk about Yachty's project. Let's start here. Earlier this year, Lil Yachty did something crazy. And that crazy thing is he dropped a project that I never thought a guy like Lil Yachty could drop. Experimental, very different, super creative. And I do want to give him credit for that. salute to you, Yachty. Salute to you for taking a risk. Okay, so you get a cool point for that. You get a cool point for the fact that you stepped outside of your comfort zone, especially as someone who is from that 2016 wave, right? When I say that, what I'm talking about is the fact that Yachty has a certain image in hip hop. Okay, he has a certain image in music, and people have boxed him in as one thing. Now with this project right here, he decided to do something completely different, and I thought the result was great. Okay, now I'm not a Lil Yachty fan. I don't listen to that project at all. Like, I've listened to it because
where's this going?
it's music
I'm
being put out by a
like
popular artist, and I need to hear it. So I've listened to it, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the project because it's creative. It's very just different.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very different, right? We're really well put together. But I'm not a Lil Yachty fan, so I can't say that I listened to the project. That'd be a lie. But I do appreciate what he did with that project, okay? And so the point of that project, the reason why that's relevant is because Yachty has been getting, all year, he's been getting so much praise for that project. Like, so much. People have been calling it album of the year, which I think is insane. And the reason why people think it's album of the year is because a guy like Yachty dropped it. Guys, Lil Yachty is someone who literally came up off of I Know You Like This for Life. Like, Yachty has been dropping the most average music for a long time. Until this project, and until one of his other projects, I forgot what it's called. It might be the one with a lot of the Detroit influence, right? I think that was a dope body of work as well, but I forgot what the project is called. But anyway, that's beside the point. So Yachty, for the majority of his career, has been dropping extremely average music, okay? And so the one time where he drops something that's completely different and he gets praised, that leads him to a place where he feels like the place that hip hop is in right now is a terrible place. It's a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low quality music being put out. It's a lot less originality. Well, that sums up Lil Yachty's entire 90% of his career.
Yeah, but that doesn't make his statement untrue, though. That's like whether or not sums up his career, doesn't make it untrue. Like, he's calling him, maybe you could take it as him calling himself out for making that type of music, well, everybody else. But I mean, if you look at it from another perspective, like, if Yachty had dropped this album in 2016, we wouldn't even know who Yachty is, because like it wouldn't, this current album, the one that's experimental, because like coming from, yeah, we would, I'm not gonna say just coming from Yachty, but like coming from the type of rap that was going on in 2016, Yachty would not be here today. So like, in order for him to like blow up, get his fandom, he has to kind of play the game, and part of playing the game is making music that people want to listen to on repeat, that's easily digestible, and that's what Yachty did, and that's why Yachty is so relevant to today. Like, you can argue that, yeah, like he was scared and didn't want to take the risk, but like when you're talking about making like life changing money, like, are you going to, you know, gamble with it, like gamble with your career, like when you can elevate yourself, elevate your family, elevate all the people around you, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna play the game, and then once you get to a certain point, then you could like change up your style, because like you already built your fan base, like you have a fan base at the time, so like of course he has to like make music that people want to listen to, and that's what he did.
That's what Lil Yachty has been known for a very long time. So the reason why these comments, and we're going to get to everything that we're going to talk about, the reason why these comments are so off-putting is because he's talking about himself. But it seems like he's not self-aware enough to know that he's talking about himself. You get what I'm saying?
That's a fair assessment.
I want you to check out this podcast clip right here. And I have a couple things to say about it. But what happened after this, essentially, you know, the backlash, boom. Lil Yachty decided to respond to the backlash in a podcast episode, and this is what he said. So just check out the clip, and I have a couple things I want to go through.
Not that bad, but when it happened, I really didn't want to address it, and I just was like, whatever. I'll address it when our podcast comes. Between me saying and what it is I said hip hop is in a terrible place, and this comment came from a interview that I did with Tierwag for Rolling Stones, and I said hip hop is in a terrible place, and it took the internet in a frenzy. Right, and this is the crazy thing. Numbers. All right, first off, hip hop was number one the number one leading genre for 10 plus years. I don't know exact year, but 10 plus years. Number one on every other genre. Up until recently, about a year ago, or two, a year or two ago, and it fell in the rankings of being number one.
What's number one now?
I believe it's Latin music. It's either Latin music or no, I think it's Latin music or country. It's between country music and Latin music.
It's Latin music.
I can't remember.
Saying number one, saying like that's the genre that generates the most money.
Revenue streams. Yeah, it was number one. Like in Billboard, it was the number one genre. Even record labels have pulled back on funding from hip hop, as far as like what contracts are looking like and what budgets are being put into rapper artists, hip hop artists. It's just all been scaled back on funding. It's facts. You know what I'm saying? Like the facts is that people aren't supporting hip hop like they once did. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a decline in the content. And people say, oh, here's the guy that said that. He was like the guy that made Poland. Because how can you say that you made Poland? But it's like, bro, you've never heard a rap song like Poland, bro. Like there's no song that sounds like Poland. Ever. When Poland first came out, it was like, what the is this?
So, I want to address a couple things that Yachty said in that clip, okay? So, the first one being, what genre is really the biggest right now? So, Yachty, he said that it's Latin music or country music, and I just want to correct him. By the way, this is not like a holier than thou thing where, oh, I'm going to correct you because I'm the one who reports on this. No. I want this to be insightful. I want this to be educational, and I just want to make sure that we say the things that are actually factual. Okay? So, right now, what you have in front of you right now are some recent stats, okay? As you can see right there, July 27th.
America, not worldwide. So, if it was worldwide, then definitely Latin music, but yes. Okay. I didn't know what, well, actually, too, because, like, we don't know what he was referring to when he was saying music. I guess he did say Billboard. I don't know if Billboard is like worldwide or if it's just in the U.S. So that part I'm not sure about. So if he did say Billboard and Billboard is meant to be only in the U.S., then he clearly meant U.S. But if Billboard is like worldwide, then like you can make the argument like he was talking about music across the globe.
Second, July 2002 and June 2003. Okay, at the top right now we have rock/alternative/indie music. Okay, that's the number one genre right now. I told y'all hip-hop has been losing monopoly. What did I tell you? I said this months ago, right? But anyway, and then
what is hip-hop losing monopoly? Is it because a lot of rappers are rapping sort of like new metal? Is that considered not rap? I guess it says urban music, hip hop, R&B, etc., etc. So okay, that's fair. And also too, like, is Juice WRLD hip hop or is Juice WRLD pop or is Juice WRLD rock? Like, I feel like this rappers nowadays, they sort of bend different genres. Like they just don't stick to like traditional like hip hop beats. Like a good example of I think traditional like urban beat would be like a drill song. But like looking at like Juice WRLD, like or like Too Gaudy, like those like Uzi, like those type of yeah. Sometimes depending on what Uzi does, like Trippie Redd, MGK, like again, like are they pop or are they hip hop? Like where do you put these folks at?
Number 2, we have country music. Okay, and number 3, we have pop.
I can't believe country music is number 2. Over pop. That is mad.
/adult contemporary music, urban music. That sounds very, very familiar. I hear a lot of people talk about urban. We all know what urban means, right?
Yeah.
For anyone who didn't know, it's black, or a lot of times it's also minorities, right? That's another conversation. You know what I'm talking about. It's another conversation, right? But anyway, so and then hip hop /R&B, etc. So hip hop is, let's see, so actually it's number 4. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. So it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. So hip hop is at number 4, right? Now, I don't know exactly these stats. The thing about stats like this is a lot of times they mislabel certain things as hip hop, and they mislabel certain things as R&B.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying to make. Like, how are they labeling certain artists?
Like, I believe, I forgot what organization it was, but they said that Ice Spice was like R&B. I remember seeing this like months ago, and I'm like, are y'all crazy?
Yeah, that's wild.
Anything that's mildly black is R&B or hip hop?
That's wild.
On. I mean, Ice Spice is hip hop, but she's not R&B. Come on, okay? That's very disrespectful to the actual R&B artists out here putting in work, okay, and representing that side of the music in a correct fashion. That aside, right? So, just want to correct Yachty on that. Hip hop, or I want to say Latin music, is not second, right? Latin music it's all the way, it's actually not even on this list, which is kind of crazy. So it's actually not on this list at all. Like, Latin music is really big, but maybe the consumption is different at this very time, at this point in time. But by the way, this is America's favorite music genres, right? So this is strictly in America we're talking about. And another point I want to address, that Yachty hit on, is the part regarding labels pulling back on funding. So I want to check out this, it's like an excerpt from like a digital product that I'm working on. And I draw some correlations between things that are going on right now, and I give my insight on essentially the culture, things that artists should think about, and so forth, right? So I want you to read this with me right here, okay? Because Yachty did say something that I want to hit on. And he was talking about how record labels have pulled back on funding because hip-hop acts are... Anyway, so, let's just read this together, right? This is what the excerpt says. Record labels have pulled back on funding because hip-hop acts are not selling like they used to. You can't monetize hip-hop like you could just a year ago. Other genres are gaining monopoly. Hip-hop has lost monopoly. Record labels are in it to make money. If you're not selling, you will be on the back burner. Hip-hop is not a priority like it used to be, and the decline in consumption of rap/hip-hop is alarming. There's been a 2% drop in overall consumption since last year. And by the way, it's not even a full calendar year. It's, I believe, between like 8 months and 10 months, okay? And 2% drop is a lot. So like, let's say as an example, if hip-hop, and this is not true, by the way, I'm just using it as an example just so I can show you the math, right? Let's say hip-hop got 1 billion streams, okay? Hip-hop got 1 billion streams overall as a genre, pretending. A 2% drop would mean that there's, in terms of consumption, percentage-wise, 20 million, so this would be 20 million streams, okay? That's a lot, okay? Not 20 million people, that would be inaccurate, but 20 million in terms of overall consumption. And that's pretty freaking major. That's a lot, okay? Not even a full calendar year. But I want to also hit on another point that Yachty hit on, which is, where he said that people aren't supporting hip-hop like they once used to because there's a decline in content. And that's incorrect, completely incorrect. So
I agree.
Let's check out another excerpt written by yours truly. And this is what this one says, okay? So this one says, it's not the decline in content, it's the decline in quality content. Hip-hop acts are dropping low-quality content at a very rapid pace.
Okay.
And that's having an effect on the direct-to-consumer/business-to-consumer relationship. And this is what the fans are thinking, right? So the fans are thinking like this. Why should I spend my hard-earned money on someone who's not even giving off the impression that they care about the work they're putting out? Perception is everything. Market the music like the best thing since sliced bread, and they will call it the best thing since sliced bread. The average rapper doesn't have the mental bandwidth to think this far. Why? Because the average rapper doesn't care about what he's putting out. Okay? So the answer to what Yachty was touching on isn't the content, it's the quality of the content, okay? And this explains why people aren't as hooked on hip-hop as they once used to be. A lot of people are having a very hard time standing behind hip-hop because the quality is lacking severely, right? people want to be proud of what they support. People want to say that this artist and that artist and that artist, even if the music may not sound like it's good, if they care, if they can convince and communicate to the listener that, hey, I really care about what I'm putting out. And you can do that by crafting a very, as far as like, let's say you're someone you're very in tune with, if you're an artist, you're very in tune with your branding. Mm-hmm. Okay, your visual branding. You put a lot into that. You can show it through visual branding. You can show it through storytelling. You can show it through being personal. You can show it in so many different ways, right? But the listener wants to feel like they are on a mission with you, right? The reason why the average rapper is failing, and the reason why so many rappers are failing right now, is because they're not communicating to the listener that they really care about what they're doing. And so that leaves a very bad taste in the listener's mouth. And that's why, one of the reasons why hip-hop doesn't have the kind of support that it used to have, right?
So I want to take his point a step further, because I think it's not just a quality issue, it's also a quantity issue. Whereas there's just so much new music within the hip hop space. Like if you can't sing, people start rapping, or they start doing the auto-tune singing rap. And there's just so much of it that we're consuming it like on a daily basis. We get tired of it. Then on the other hand, you also have like drill music. Like to his point, like you want to be able to get behind and support your artists and put people on, but like if you can't, you're less likely to put people on to like a song about putting somebody in a pack. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know if it's like some of the drill songs are good, but even though they're good, it's just like the subject matter, like you can't really market that. But the drill wave sort of took off a year ago, or 2 years ago. The New York drill, I can't, when Pop Smoke, sort of completely took off and like changed the whole hip hop landscape, where like everybody's like now rapping on drill beats to this day. So, or like in transition to like hyper drill beats too. So like, I agree with what he's saying, but also too, I just think there's just so much TikTok rap music out that's just I don't want to say destroying the genre. It's just shifting it to like music that people don't want to listen to. So yes, that is a quality issue, but also I just think that it's a quantity issue where like before, back in the days, like you'd only have a certain amount of rappers drop a year, and it was more controlled by the record labels, of course, but like they were controlling what was being put out, what the sound was, like what was popular and what was not popular. And now with like TikTok, you have artists that are controlling what is popular, what is not popular, like what is hot and what is not hot. So like the sound of hip hop has become distorted, and it's now something completely different. Just go on TikTok and just listen to some of the rappers. Like I don't know if those rappers are considered hip hop or not. That's another topic for another day. But yeah, I mean, and you will understand what he means by like it's a quality issue. But again, it's just so much of that. It's just so much of that low quality music. Like the quantity of it is just like drowns out the good people, all of the good people that put out music. And like I said, comparison to 10 years ago, these labels were controlling how many artists were coming out a year, what the sound was like. They don't have the control anymore, and maybe that's why it's declining. I don't really know, but I do like the freedom that artists have to like shape the space for better or for worse.
That's why so many people are moving on to these other genres, because they feel like country and rock care more about what they're doing. And you know what? I don't listen to none of those genres.
I do,
but I'm gonna have to agree. We've lost the...
Because you don't, I would say that also too, like rock, as I said, new metal, has adopted, hip rapping into their space. So has country. Like you just don't find rap anymore in hip hop. Like you find rap outside of hip hop, and I think it's very different from years prior.
Art of caring about what we're putting out in hip hop, and that's so sad.
So yeah, I think that's part of the problem too. Like I don't think it's partially what he's saying. Blackie's saying is true, but I think it's more so is that you can now find rap outside of the hip hop space in these other genres. And years prior, you really wouldn't really see that.
Sad, so sad. But I want to talk about some of the things that I don't like about Yachty's statements about hip hop. First of all, and this is the most important one, right message, wrong messenger. So let's talk about that. Is Lil Yachty really the right person to say these things? I would say no, because of how Yachty started off, right? We also got to talk about the fact that his statements exude a superiority, complex. Like Yachty feels like, because I dropped this project that's getting a lot of praise, that's creative and experimental and different, I have the right to say these things, when you don't. Because the truth is, Lil Yachty, you're not different from any of these guys. Like, I'm sure Lil Yachty had certain artists in his mind when he made these statements. I'm very certain of that. He's not going to tell you that because he ain't trying to alienate potential business partners. So, like, as an example, I'm not saying this is what he was saying. As an example, let's say Yachty made these statements and he was thinking about Yeet. Okay? He's not going to say that because I'm sure he wants to collab with Lil Yeet. Lil Yeet? I'm sorry. Lil Yachty. I'm sure he wants to collaborate with Yeet, right? And the reason why I brought up Yeet is because he's a part of the new wave. And when a lot of people make these statements about hip hop dying and hip hop is this, they're talking about that side of the underground. And by the way, I used to hate Yeet because I've listened to some of his shit, I want to say, not just a couple of his records. I listened to like one or two projects, and he ain't that bad at all. Destroy Lonely, on the other hand, I don't like Destroy Lonely. Okay, Yeet is the only person who I feel like is like, I can listen to this. Anyone else in that side of the underground? Hell no, I'm not listening to that. Do not turn that on around me, at least. Yachty, obviously, I'm sure he was thinking about certain artists when he said this. But the issue with his statements, again, it's just that Yachty took a risk, okay? And he got praised for taking that risk. Now, what Yachty doesn't realize is that, and we all know this, but he doesn't know it clearly, no self-awareness. You are, first of all, not different from any of these guys. Second of all, you took a risk, you got praised for it, but what more have you done? It goes back to my tweet. Lil Yachty has inspired a lot of whack shit in hip-hop. Let's just keep it a garbanzo bean, 1,000%. If you don't think that Lil Yachty, the guy who blew up with I Know You Want This for Life, inspired mediocrity in hip-hop, you're insane. And that's why Lil Yachty should not be having these opinions.
I think he inspired people that has come after him, but like I think the people that came before him inspired him to make the mediocre music. And then the fact too, like you also have to like look at the people that are consuming the music. Like if they weren't consuming it, Yachty would have evolved a lot sooner, in my opinion. Like you can say the music is bad, but like if you're seeing that people are like buying your stuff, your fan base is loving it, like is bad for you, but like good for them. So like who do you listen to? The person that's like, supporting you, the person that's not supporting you, that's more of a critic. Like you can listen to people that's supporting you, and it's not like I'm not saying that he's like a yes man to his fans, but like if you're saying something is bad, right? But you have like a whole army of people saying it's good, like in that case, like what is good, what is bad, like what is evil, what is good. Like it's all a matter of like perspective, and the perspective he chose to look at it from is the perspective of the people that like rock with him versus people that don't rock with him. However, like also too, like I agree that he, like I said, he's inspired people that have came after him to make the type of music that's a little bit mediocre, well, a lot mediocre. But at the end of the day, like that doesn't mean like he can't evolve. Maybe he wanted to make the type of music for the longest time, but like he knew like he would get like crapped on. Like look, he understands like how the industry's working right now. I still think he has the right to make an opinion because he's been in the game since 2016. He has the right to call it out, but he should be calling himself out too at the same time. So I agree with that point as well. Like you need to have some self-awareness to like call yourself out. Maybe he is doing that. But like he can't include himself in that statement because like what he just dropped is not in the lane of what's being put out right now. So I think that is a fair statement for him to make because his current project is not in line with like what he's talking about.
These opinions, that's fine, but sharing them in the way that you shared, I don't think is the way. It ain't the way at all. So I also think Drake plays a part here, because if you guys don't know, Lil Yachty and Drake are buddies. Good buddies now, right? And this is what I like to call the Drake effect. Okay?
Uh-oh.
I think Drake's support makes Yachty feel like he's invincible. On top of the praise he's been getting for being different and being, doing something completely different in terms of the project that he dropped, right? Which again, I gave him credit for that, but let's not sit here and act like 90% of your career was you dropping a bunch of average music. Let's just keep it real. Lil Yachty has never been a good rapper. I still don't think Lil Yachty is a good rapper. That's just my opinion.
I disagree.
You think he's a good rapper? You listen to him. Let me not stop you, okay? But
such a backhanded. You listen to him. I love that for you. Okay, Blackie. Okay. I feel like I'm debating him right now, but it's really one-sided because like I'm just listening to him and responding.
The fact that Yachty is saying this when for the majority of his career he was doing exactly what he's talking about in these statements. Yachty said, in his own words, the place hip-hop is in right now is a terrible place. It's a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low-quality music being put out. That's what you did for the majority of your career. And now you're having...
But he's not talking about the past. He's talking about the present. You gotta leave the past in the past. Like, the present state of hip-hop, as he just said, is low-quality, mediocre music. And that is a true statement. Yes, it is true that he's dropped it in the past, but we're talking about like 2023. Like, we're not talking about like old Yachty when he first came out. He was like a young kid.
These opinions talking about hip hop is this, hip hop is that. If you don't embody the essence of hip hop, how can you have these kinds of statements out there? How could you make these kinds of statements? You don't even embody what hip hop is really about. You don't embody what hip hop is about, man. On top of that, you inspired a lot of whack shit in the culture. Let's keep it real. Let's just be honest, man. Are we really going to pretend like Lil Yachty is the right person to say these things? If Cordae, J.I.D., Denzel Curry came out and said something like this, I'd be like, oh, okay. Let me be quiet. Let me not say.
Yeah, but if they said, who were the people that he was? Hold on. I know Cordae.
Be quiet. Let me not.
Hold on.
You inspired a lot of whack shit in the culture. Let's keep it real. Let's just be honest, man. Are we really going to pretend like Lil Yachty is the right person to say these things? If Cordae, J.I.D., Denzel Curry came out and said...
So Denzel Curry, J.I.D. is kind of on his rise. He's been making good music. Cordae, talented rapper. But like, who are we talking about? Lil Yachty or these three? Like, we're not talking about any of them. Like, Lil Yachty has been a topic of conversation since he's come out. He's polarizing. Whether it's for being mediocre, like he's doing the job of like getting people to talk about him. Like, if it came from Cordae, nobody would care. If it came from J.I.D., I think some people would care. If it came from Denzel Curry, I think nobody would care. That's just my opinion. It's because like Cordae's last album didn't do well. Jid had a nice run at the beginning of the year, and Denzel Curry, like, I don't hear anything about him. Like, I don't. He doesn't come up in my feed, and it's maybe because it's not my style of hip hop, my particular taste. But I feel like these all three rappers are good examples of like rappers that are great lyricists, but can't make a good song. I'm gonna say it again: amazing lyricists that are unable to put together an amazing song, a song that's easily digestible, right? Can be played on repeat. Something you want to throw on to when you get ready to go out, sitting in your car. Like, you gotta, like, yeah, you want to have lyrics and stuff like that, but like, there are very few rappers that can like have great lyrics and make good songs. Drake is one of them. Lil Wayne's one of them. Dave from the UK. We got Gets from the UK. There's quite a few people that can do. Very few people that can do it. So like, you either fall in the category of like being a great lyricist or someone who can make a good song and have a great hook. But if you can do both of them, in my opinion, that's when you're a good rapper. If you only do one, you are a specialist in area A or area B. But like, I might not a good rapper. You're a rapper that creates music for a moment, similar to like what Eminem does. Like, how many think about it. Like, you go into your car with your friends. Like, who's telling you to throw on an Eminem song? Like, the only song they probably throw on is the Godzilla one, because it's like a meme, like to rap fast like that. But like, it's the old M stuff. It's none of the new stuff. At least nobody that I know. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not throwing that stuff to get ready to go out. Like, think of any type of at a family party. Like, you know, nobody's dancing to Eminem. Nobody's dancing to Corday. Nobody's dancing to Jid. Nobody's dancing to Denzel Curry. Like, I'm not saying you need to be able to dance to it, but like, you feel to make a hit, it has to be able to be played on repeat. And none of these guys can make music that can be played on repeat, in my opinion.
Something like this, I'd be like, oh, okay, let me be quiet. Let me not say anything, because these guys know what they're. This is hip hop. I can't argue with them. They're not gonna say anything. By the way, ain't it funny?
And like, what do you define hip hop as, though? Like, that's the another thing, Blackie. Like, what are you're saying that's not hip hop, but like, define it for us so we can understand. Like, what is your bar for hip hop? You're saying Yachty's not hip hop, but you're not saying like why he's not hip hop. You're just saying like he made trash music, he made, he wasn't good for the culture. But like, why is Corday good for the culture? Why is Jig good for the culture? Why is Denzel Curry good for the culture? Like, give me some examples, because like, they have done nothing to push the culture forward in terms of sales, success. You can argue that like, yeah, they make good lyrical music. They have very strong pens, but like, what are they doing to like push the culture forward in terms of like competing with country, competing with pop music? Like, nothing.
How the guys who actually have the right to say things like this are not saying anything. They're just putting their head down and just working. And
it all depends on what you define success. Is it like, lyrical pen game or sales? I define the success as both. If you can't do both, then you're not a good artist and you're not hip hop, in my opinion. Like, you're a rapper in that case.
then a guy like Yachty is like talking about, hip hop is this, like hip hop is that. No. Brother, I know you're on a high horse right now. I know that everybody on Twitter, and by the way, Twitter is crazy because they have been praising Lil Yachty like he's the second coming of Christ after this project. And I'm like, give him credit for that project, but let's take it easy a little, guys. Easy. Tranquilo, okay? He dropped one decent project, okay? And the reason why he's getting so much praise is because of the contrast, because it's coming from a guy like Lil Yachty, an artist who was a good rapper, dropped this, Lil Yachty project. Since it's coming from a different place, the contrast would not be that noticeable. But now it's noticeable because it's Lil Yachty. So that's why he's getting all this praise. And I think this position that Yachty is in right now, because he's kind of like the young, cool guy. A lot of the young guys coming up there looking at Yachty like, oh, shit, Yachty, damn, Yachty, Lil Bo, he's still popping, all that. Oh, Drake calls him brother. Drake is posted up with Yachty. Oh, damn, Yachty's that guy. He dropped this project. He's been in the game for this long. He's getting a lot of praise from the young generation of listeners and the young generation of artists. And he dropped this project, which now makes him appear as something different, when really you're the same as the rest of them, brother. Yachty, I'm talking to you if you're listening to this, which I'm sure you are. You're not different. You're the same as these other guys that you're talking about. Because I'm sure Yachty had a couple names in his mind, but he's not going to say it. Of course he's not going to say it. He's still a part of the young generation. So to me, it's just funny how these statements are coming from someone like him. No self-awareness here. Clear lack of self-awareness. You should not be making these statements, Yachty.
Disagree.
And these opinions are horrible.
Disagree.
They're horrible. They do not make Yachty look.
Didn't say
they do not
wrong.
Put him in a better light at all.
He didn't say anything
It'd be
wrong.
one thing if he just dropped this project that he dropped, right? Let's start here or there. I always confuse these two. Is it let's start here or let's start there? Let's start here. Always confuse it. But it'd be one thing if Yachty did that and then, he just kept his head down and just kept it pushing. But now he's making all these statements, and that tells me that he feels like he's superior. You're not better than nobody, brother. You're not. Like I said in my tweet, and I stand behind it, Lil Yachty has inspired a lot of whack shit in hip-hop. It's actually guys like him that quote-unquote ruined hip-hop. I don't think hip-hop is ruined. I do think the essence of hip-hop is dying, though. But if anything, it's guys like Yachty who've actually done a lot of damage to the culture from that perspective. So I just think these statements are very ironic, and you're not the guy for that, brother. I'm telling you, man, you're not the guy. So
my question is, so it seems like timing is the issue here. So if Yachty had dropped these statements before that album dropped, would we be having this conversation? Or is it because he dropped the album now people feel some type of way, like they think that Yachty's like too big for his bridges? You know what I mean? Like is that what the issue is? Because like I'm struggling to understand, like, why is it because like Yachty, he thinks that Yachty thinks he's too big now because like he's getting praise? Like, does he think he has a big head? Because like for me, like Yachty seems like to be like one of the most humble, like from at least from what I see, and I don't consume a lot of Yachty music. I don't consume a lot of like Yachty interview content. You know what I mean? But from like what I've seen from him, he seems to be like a very chill, laid back, and like humble person. You know what I mean? So this is why I'm having a little disconnect from like what I see from Yachty and what Blackie is saying, because like it doesn't there's no correlation. Like, it's just, for me, like what I'm hearing is that like he dropped the project was good, he's getting a lot of praise, but yes, he was crap, he was poop in the past, and now he like thinks he's too big because like he's getting praised now. Like that's what that's kind of like what I'm getting from that, and I don't really think that's fair on Yachty's part, because essentially, like, yeah, like you can evolve, you can grow, you can get better. Like that's what we do as humans, and like once you get better, like I feel as though like you should be able to like make comments on like situations in the world, because like you've been in the game for quite a while. You've gone from being mediocre to like being critically acclaimed. So like, why can't somebody like that speak on the state of hip hop? Like, I'll give you an example. If you are you're in school, right? And your junior year, you did poorly in one subject in math, right? And all of a sudden your senior year, like you start taking like AP classes in math. Like, why can't you, who struggled to like learn, grow, and like even tutor people, like should you not be able to tutor people in math because like you were bad at math in your junior year, but you're good now? Like that's kind of the only analogy that I can think of off the top of my head. It was just like he's saying that like you were bad in the past, and now because you're good, you shouldn't be able to speak because you were bad in the past. Like, make it make sense to me.
Oh, I hope Yachty can think twice about making statements like this, okay? And I'm all for people speaking their mind. That's what I do on my channel. But first of all, this is what I do, by the way. That's my job, right? But when it's coming from a place where clearly you're trying to put yourself, Yachty's trying to create a separation between himself and all the other rappers he either came up with or a lot of the guys who are coming up right now.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Like, no, that's not how this works. If you're someone who contributed to mediocre rap, the mediocrity in hip hop, you do not have a place to speak on what's mediocre or not.
Oh,
and plus,
Blackie,
like I said,
with you, Brody.
Lil Yachty does not embody the essence of hip hop. He's the opposite of that, 1,000%. So these statements, I believe they're ridiculous, and I do think Lil Yachty should get flamed for this. He should get flamed for this.
I don't.
1,000%.
I
but
don't.
We're obviously not against anyone speaking their mind. Okay, I've gotten flamed. How many times I've gotten flamed for my opinions? Happens all the time. It is what it is, right? But anyway, so that's what I think about these hip-hop opinions that Yachty has been sharing. I'm curious what you have to say about this, though. What you guys think about...
I kind of already read through my points, but Blackie is right when he said that. He was right on a few points where, Yachty was mediocre. It's just like the disconnect for me is, like I said, like, yes, you can be bad, but like if you've evolved your craft throughout the years, like you've been in the game and you're still relevant, like why can't somebody like that have the right to discuss the state of hip hop? Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But let me know down in the comments, like, do you agree with Blackie? Do you agree with me? Are you like on the fence between the two of us? Like what are your thoughts? Because like I'm very curious to see where people land on this topic. Like for me, like I said, it's just getting like we're gonna keep you in the box that you were in when you first came out. When you first drop music, like you're gonna stay in that box forever. Like that's what he's giving in this video. But it could just be me. But I feel as though, like, I know I said my guy is like pretty much unbiased. He gives the situation, then he gives his opinion. But I feel as though this one is just like he's a little bit biased. But I feel as though like Yachty has an effect on people where he is, again, like because of how he started and what he put out, and the fact that he's still relevant to today. I know people like just can't wrap their heads around that. Like, how is that possible? And it's because his fans really F with him. So you guys, look at it from the standpoint of like, whose side are you gonna take? The side of somebody like Drake, who is been in the game, so made hit records, and he's telling you you're doing a good job, successful. We're gonna, sort of take the opinions of people that are counter to that. Like, if I'm in Yachty's shoes, I'm gonna take Drake's opinion over like someone like mine's, even because I'm not a big rapper. I'm not a rapper at all. So neither is Blackie. So like, you're gonna, we're both commentating on the situation from as like an outsider, like looking in, like a third party essentially. So Drake is a first party in this situation. So I would take Drake's advice and opinions on what my music is like and how it comes across and how it's received, because like Drake sells. So, but yeah, this was, like I said, my opinion. I got probably a hot take, might be a hot take, might not be a hot take, but let me know down in the comments below. Happy holidays, my people. I'll see you next video. Peace.